Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Rimuru's Elegant Escape. This video contains spoilers, so with due let's get continue. Rimuru's Elegant Escape Play 15. And like that, the fourth day ended. It was now the morning of the fifth day. With all of the students standing in a line in front of me, I put on a pair of swirly glasses and stood in front of them. After eating lunch yesterday, the students had taken baths and focused their attention on recovering from their fatigue. We had plenty of meat from the monsters, and Julius had even offered some vegetables from his space storage, and it was clear that it would be possible to feed everyone here for 2 to 3 days. And so there was no need to go exploring. So instead, everyone rested. In the meantime, I talked with the teachers as we prepared for this position of new teachers for the study of a new type of magic. This introduction comes a little late, but this is Satoru, my confidant and a leader in magic research. In fact, I had requested that he become a teacher before, but he refused. However, fortunately, he has agreed to help you all after hearing that you want to become stronger. Now, Satoru, if would like to say a few words. Old William came out and introduced me to everyone. I generously nodded back to him. All of the students had expressions of shock upon hearing that I was an acquaintance of William, and was also a leader of magical research. Which was no surprise. I looked younger than all of them, and yet I had the qualifications to stand with the teachers. Among them, George, Mondo, and others of the same group, were especially surprised, which was quite entertaining to watch. But perhaps Marcia had realized that the magic cards were my idea, because she seemed quite satisfied with this explanation. She must have been suspicious of the conversations between me and old William. Marcia wasn't only good with magic, but she had great intuition. I felt as if I acted too carelessly, she would find out my true identity. And so I had to be careful. Well, there were only 3 days left. And I would deal with it when or if it happened. I observed the students' reaction like this and then said, I am Satoru. I was actually thinking about waiting for help and keeping out of it, but I changed my mind when I saw how driven you all were. I want to meet your expectations and lead you to raise your base combat abilities within a short time. Well, then. Did you all get a good night's sleep? From today on, I and the research students will be in charge of the cooking, so the combat and magic students should focus on bettering themselves to the best of their ability. I want you to prove to me that what you said yesterday was not a lie. Now, let us begin. Here I raised the swirly glasses again and looked at the students. No, teacher. What are we supposed to do? I smiled mischievously at George's question. For now, I want you to run. The students looked at me and gulped as I made the order and then smiled. The first thing was to run. That was the basics. Well, I set the quota for magic-type students quite low, so they would return without taking too much time. Until then, I would discuss our future direction. But before that, I also had to instruct the remaining students on how to cook. I was very busy. I had the students who were in the research field gather around so I could teach them how to cook. There were the girls who were always close to Julius, Maria, and Carol. Apparently, it had been the butlers, Neil and Cast, as well as his guard knight, Clad, who prepared the food for Julius and the others. While Clad was a knight, Neil and Cast were very good at cooking. As Clad had been helping, it would have been easy for him to mix in the spices. The problem was whether or not he knew about the effect they would have. What I did know was that a researcher named Irina was behind it, and had given the order. But did Magnus know about it? I'm sure they were trying to get rid of anything that could hinder them, but perhaps they had not intended for everyone to die. But the result? Had I not had Moss protect them, the teachers, Julius, and the others? The truth is that they would have all died. In my opinion, they were guilty. But it would be hard to prove whether or not they meant to kill. And so I wouldn't bother. It would be easier to just ignore the details of the plan, and just completely crush the entire organization. Well, enough about that. I watched them for a while. They were doing their job well. They knew how to make use of the help that the students offered, and they cooked while following my orders. There was no problem here. I think we would be enjoying a fine dinner tonight. I looked forward to it as I left them there. And then I went over to the tent where the teachers of magic had gathered. The combat teachers were participating in the running, and so they were not here. They wouldn't understand it anyway, and would be in the way. Within the tent, old William was holding the magic cards and explaining to the other teachers what they did. Ah, Lord Rimuru. I just finished explaining it to them. Oh, thank you. By the way, I hope you can be careful to not call me that in front of the students. Ha ha ha. Of course. Old William laughed. It seemed a little forced. But I needed him to be very careful. It wasn't something that I could just shrug off. And I was scared that I needed to warn him before he made a mistake. I needed to hammer it into him once and for all before beginning. I want you to take charge of the magic-type students. You will use these cards and oversee their training, I said. Then one of the NNU researchers raised their hand and looked at me. I think his name was Heinrich. He was one of the first to see what was happening on this island. I nodded and allowed him to speak. First, allow me to apologize. To think that someone from our own school was involved in this incident. I know. I accept your apology, and so there is no need for you to worry. Let's think about the future now. I accepted his words with this answer, but, how can you easily trust someone who is associated with a teacher who would do such a thing? Though, I do intend to follow any order that is given. Heinrich continued to insist. Perhaps the other teachers had said something to him while I was away. Well, don't think about that. You can show me with your actions. That is all. And while I can understand if you are unable to meet my expectations, I hope you will at least refrain from betraying me. I added a little warning, just in case. All of you who are present. Rimu no, Lord Satoru. Let's just use Master Satoru. Of course. Really. Old William's slips of the tongue were scary. I would have to constantly be warning him and covering for his mistakes. We would never do anything like betraying you, Master Satoru. I nodded at this speech by Old William while thinking about something else. Heinrich seemed satisfied by this, and so we continued the discussion. It was a virtual meeting of ultra-fast thought, conducted through thought acceleration and thought transmission, both of which were quite familiar to me. The magic cards were distributed to the teachers with the intent of deepening their understanding of their contents. Obviously, it was virtual, so no real magic would activate. However, with the use of Master Seal's ultra-calculating abilities, even this virtual environment would be able to immerse you to the point where it was indiscernible from the real thing. And it would all have a physical effect on you. Once you understood it, and you could use the magic, you would be able to use that experience acquired in the virtual world in the real world as well. It wouldn't quite work with physical training, but the use of magic was all in the mind, and so it was the perfect place to practice. However, most human brains were incapable of processing the information quick enough, and so only people who had reached a certain level were able to use it. Even with these teachers, acceleration was limited to about 300 times normal speed. And they could only stand it for about 1 hour of real time. If they did it any longer, their brains would suffer possibly fatal damage. But well, training for an hour under these circumstances meant gaining the experience of 300 hours. Which equaled 12.5 days. And that was enough for those that were talented. It was really only me and Guy who had been capable of this, so that meant these teachers would be the first humans to have this incredibly rare experience. When there was only a little time left, everyone was able to use the anagram magic. But then again, the principles were rather simple. Even if the combination was right, it would not activate if there was not enough magic power. However, this. How can I say this? I suppose it's as if all common sense concerning magic has been rewritten. This will make things much easier for my magic research, but it almost feels as if I am cheating. These were the reactions of Old William, Heinrich, Payuri, and the chubby Bloom. While Payuri was the public health doctor, she seemed to be interested in healing magic, and so had participated willingly. However, it took us all over 10 days. How can we teach the students? Old William said rather sensibly. He was right. No matter how much we crammed into them, it would not be possible to understand a new type of magic within a few days. It would be impossible even if you were some kind of genius. Don't worry. I thought that this might happen, and so I prepared a simplified version of the magic cards in advance. No, that was a lie. I only just made them. I would alter them to fit each student's talents and distribute them. If we did it like this, then each student should be able to easily do 1 or 2 spells that they are good at, without chanting. However, it was a pain to have to explain all this, so I decided to persuade them with some random words. I see. So we will pass out cards that they are good with. Yes. And once they become confident, they will be able to use the official magic cards. I see. I see. They were satisfied, and I was grateful for that. Wait a moment. You said official version, does that mean you intend on revealing these cards to the general public? Bloom looked at me with wide eyes and an expression of disbelief. Yes. Why? I answered. Bloom's mouth clamped in horror. But he seemed to come to a decision after a momentary hesitation, and then he continued cautiously. But it will mean re-evaluating the entirety of magical education. Not only that. The very idea of magic will change greatly. Students of the Sorcerer's Dynasty Sarian will not be silent about it. Magic engineering and anything that relies on the current structures of magic will have to be greatly altered to be efficient. It's not just about efficiency, this could cause the kind of uproar that a cultural revolution would. They were first-rate teachers. And so they were quick to see what kind of chaos might be caused. Of course, I had considered it myself as well. Well, don't fret. I will publicize it, but not right away. As this has to do with the original text, I will have to make many new spells and improve upon it in order for normal people to be able to use it. In other words, I said, and then explained to them my ideas for this new type of magic. The cards that I had given to Marcia were cards that could do anything. However, those who had little power to imagine, would not be able to make much use of them. You would need something that showed you the steps, much like the instructions I had given to her. But it would be hard to memorize all these steps, and it wouldn't do much good to have these cards do everything. By good, I mean profit. To be exact, each one of these cards will have a single effect carved into them. The amount of mana used will be the same between spells so that as long as they had the concentration, normal people would be able to use it. To explain it more accurately, unlike monsters, humans are incapable of turning mana into energy. There are some with magical power. And aside from them, there are also others who have power such as spiritual power that can be changed into magical power. But they are rare. Of course, that doesn't mean that they can't control mana at all. Just as it is possible for people to use magic, it is possible for them to control mana. This was done through chanting. Aside from that, magic could be done through contracts with spirits. Spiritual power equals spending energy to access the truth of the world or to command spirits. To put it bluntly, energy equals magic. These magic cards were meant to be used by humans. In other words, it turned energy into magic in the most efficient way, which allowed humans to use magic easily. That's what it all was. A magic card that anyone could use. It would sell incredibly well. For instance, you could learn attack magic like Fireball. It would be great for defending yourself. Convenient magic that could control gravity would become vital for transporting heavy loads. As for flying magic, there will definitely need to be some training to be able to control it. And it was these kinds of magic skills that would be carved into the cards. It would make it possible to activate these kinds of magic through combining words. These combinations would be studied for the purpose of allowing normal people to use them and so they can spread. And I planned to have the students of Sarian participate in the research. With free thought, they could create all kinds of new magic. All kinds of magic would be carved into the cards. Users would have to buy the cards that they required, which meant I could expect tremendous profits. And to the most advanced users alone, I would sell all-purpose cards that were simplified versions with some limitation. They would allow you to bring about all kinds of effects with your imagination alone. Something like that. It won't be right away, but after thorough preparations over 10 years, I think. That is when I could announce it to society. And with that, I ended my explanation. If it was made public, it would mean the birth of a new type of magic, following element magic and spirit magic. Its high applicability would mean that it could be used in combination with curse magic to do all kinds of things. There was no doubt that it would do wonders for the development of magical science. It is like a dream. Old William said with an emotional sigh. Right? I had planned on doing this secretly at first, but I revealed it here because I believe in you all. Besides, I found someone with incredible talent who I thought would able to really use this magic. The teachers all exchanged glances as I said this. And then old William spoke for all of them and asked me. Do you mean Marcia? I do. I nod. To be honest, I did intend on taking my time with revealing it. I hadn't decided on who I would leave it to. But amidst all of that, there was something about Marcia's ability that was head and shoulders above the rest. Magic for humans, not demons, or monsters. Needless to say, it had to be a human who researched and developed it. I would give texts and hints, and leave the rest to them. And the academy was the best possible place to conduct such research. However, I could not allow the Humanity Emancipation Alliance to exist at the same time. I wanted everyone to be friends and cooperate with each other while they did their research. Teach and lead, Marcia. You must all work together as you study it. Well, before that, you will have to teach the magic students at least one magic spell each. Of course. I will try and meet your expectations. Please leave the healing to me. And then a little danger won't matter. We will have to work hard, so as not to lose to Marcia. It seemed that the teachers understood my meaning very well. Now I knew I could leave it all to them. I look forward to your future accomplishments and seeing you meet my expectations of being worthy of being named one of the founders of this magic. All of the teachers nodded strongly at these words. By the way. But, what if this information were to leak? Blue masked as sweat dripped down his face. I replied with a smile. My subordinates will not hold back when dealing with people who are careless with information. This is something that William Rose knows very well. I want you to tell them very clearly what my subordinates do. Old William must have remembered the time he spoke with Sui directly when I addressed him. He looked a little pale as he faced the others. He then told them earnestly that they must keep it a secret at all cost. And there was one other thing. I have a question. Payuri said hesitantly. What is it? Yes, Irina. The Humanity Emancipation Alliance. What will you do with them? Do you really think that students can beat them? She asked worriedly. As for that, there was only one way to find out. I have a plan. But, the most important thing is that my identity remains hidden. Winning alone would be easy, but the most desirable outcome is if I could have the students win without drawing attention to myself. If not, it would be rather troublesome for you all, wouldn't it? What do you mean? William asked me. His expression suggested that he had a very bad feeling about what I was about to say. Yes. The moment that my location is discovered, I expect troublesome people to force their way here. The truth is, I'm here in secret, and am on my way out while trying to remain undiscovered. In a way, I'm trying to escape. So you know, do I really have to explain the rest? What? The teachers looked as if they wanted to scream. Oh, well. I guess I could understand why they would look like that. I had just told them that they were now involved in my little escape plan. If something went wrong, they could be mistaken for abductors. This small suggestion was enough to ensure that the teachers cooperated with me from the bottom of their hearts. Also, around now. I think that one of my most dangerous subordinates is using his brain to profile and purge each school. So it's only a matter of time before these Humanity Emancipation Alliance people are smoked out. If anything, it might be kinder to have the students defeat them first. I said, keeping my words a little cryptic. Do you mean Diablo? Payuri asked, and the rest of them became tense. Well, I guess. I answered. That means I might be able to meet Diablo. Those guys are finished. They were so foolish. So very, very foolish. With innocence being proven. I am so relieved from the bottom of my heart. Each teacher blurted out their reaction. One of them was strangely excited, and another seemed a little weird, but never mind. In any case, you all might become targets of Diablo's judgment if my identity is exposed. So, do your best. It was a simple threat, but the effect was amazing, and all was good. Now, as the teachers braced themselves, the virtual meeting came to an end. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe.